welcome to Life Matters. So it's with me, Gilly Franks.
And myself, Paul Cecil.
Unfortunately, Rich can't be with us today. He's away in Aberdeen doing something exciting, I believe. So hopefully we'll be able to entertain you all today. We've got 3 guests on today's show. We've got Rebecca-Elizabeth Eagar, Carol Noonan, and Lyn Thurman. First of all, if we can have a chat with Becky. Becky is a tarot reader, is that correct?
Yes.
And what made you get into that?
I was given a set, actually, by a friend of mine when I was about 16 or 17.
Oh, okay.
I think she got them free with the magazine, and she was like, well, you'll be more interested in those than I am. And I was, so, yeah.
So did you know anything about these cards, or did you just...
No, not at all. It was just kind of playing with them, just picking them up. But then I got into reading about it and researching a little bit more. So it started with the tarot cards, and then I moved on to angel cards a little bit after that.
Okay, so tell us about the angel cards then. So I'm assuming they're different to tarot cards?
They're similar, but yeah, they are a little bit different. So angel cards tend to be a little bit kinder, a little bit easier to take. So with the tarot, there's often a misconception that some of the cards are bad cards.
Okay.
So you'll have like the death card or the devil card, which if you've gone to somebody for a reading, that can kind of be quite intimidating to see that come up when you think, oh no, what's that mean? With angel cards, instead of the death card, you'd have the release card, and instead of the devil card, you'd have the ego card. So it's just, essentially, they're the same tool, and they can give the same advice and guidance, but they're just a little bit kinder.
Okay, so I mean the death card isn't necessarily a bad thing anyway, is it?
No, not at all. It's a complete misconception. It's just about new beginnings, and obviously to have new beginnings you need to kind of close one door before you open another sometimes. So it's a complete misconception, but it's just something that still kind of hangs over the tarot a little bit. I think it still kind of has that fear around it a little bit, yeah. And the angel cards just kind of take that fear away and just kind of word things a little bit gentler.
Okay.
I mean, Becky, when you're working with the tarot cards, there is a little bit of a misconception also that there you are, you've got the card in front of you and it has a picture and there's an interpretation. How do you really work? I mean, how do you feel the information? Where do you get the information from? Is it from the card itself, or is it from a source external to yourself? How do you...
For me, before I have a reading, before I have a client, I always do a little meditation and a prayer, and I ask for their guides and angels to come through when I'm doing the reading. Essentially, when you're working, I think it's more of a psychic energy. So as soon as they come in, before I've even shuffled the cards or laid the cards, I'm already connecting with that person, and we're reading for them. So I don't tend to work like yourself. Obviously, you're a medium, so you work with spirit. I don't tend to work with spirit. I work.
Does that ever happen?
It has,
yeah.
And if it happens, I will give what I get. So if I feel that I've got somebody's relative come in and I feel like there's a message for them, I will say it. So, for example, I was doing a reading for a client recently, and the expression "pull your socks up" kept coming up, and I kept getting this message. And every time I got it, I'd got goosebumps. So I know that there was spirit kind of coming in, and I gave them what I got. Like, I feel like that's a message from spirit for you, but I don't work with spirit back to the cards. You know, work with my tools. But afterwards, they came back to me and they're like, "That's my granddad. That's exactly what he used to say to me. That was the expression."
Wow.
So yeah, it does happen, but it's not kind of how I work. I tend to work more psychically.
So just for the viewers, you're talking about spirit, but as you made the reference there at the end, it was actually the person's grandfather.
Yes.
So it was giving evidence of that ongoing existence, that when we die in the physical form, that we continue in some other way. So that does come into your work sometimes.
Yeah, it does come in sometimes, but it isn't sort of exclusive. I wouldn't say that I work like yourself as a medium and with spirit. The cards are psychic energy, and the cards are psychically reading for people.
Wow.
Have you ever done a reading for somebody and they've completely freaked out?
No, thankfully. I tend to make a few people cry, and I always whenever I do fairs, I'm always like, hugs are free, because it can be quite emotional when you have a reading, and there'll be things that come up that, you know, I just have to give what I'm getting on the cards, and sometimes it's a real release for them. So yeah, I've had a few people cry. No one's freaked out. I've had a few people tell me that they don't believe a word I've said, and then they've sat there at the end and gone, but there were a few things I could take. So, you know, yeah, I'm not trying to convince anyone. You know, if they get guidance from their reading, then fantastic.
Exactly, yes. Okay, and you also work with crystal healing, don't you? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So yeah, crystal healing is a very gentle form of healing. So I could go into the whole science of it if you want. I don't know quite how far.
What are the crystals that you use for the healing?
I have a whole range of crystals. I tend to do a crystal grid using quartz crystals initially, and then intuitively when I'm with that person and we've done a consultation and I know what their needs are, then I will choose different crystals based on what their needs are individually. So each crystal kind of, when it's formed in a different way, so the molecules have a different vibrational energy, so that's why they have different properties. So rose quartz will help with heart matters, healing matters of the heart, love energy, but they can also help with physical things as well. So rose quartz is really good at benefiting people that have breathing difficulties or issues with their chest, their diaphragm, that sort of thing. So they all kind of have correspondences.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do you have to keep coming back as a client to be treating something?
No, not at all. I think most of the clients I've had for crystal healing, I do have a few regular clients that will come to me every few months, but most of the clients will actually be like, that is such a powerful healing, and they feel like they've released something. And within a week or 10 days, they're sort of messaging me like, oh my God, I haven't had a problem with my back for however long. That was amazing. And I think it's kind of seen as a bit of an airy-fairy treatment, but actually it's very powerful. It can be a very powerful treatment. And I guess it's just as often and as you feel it's necessary.
Oh, that's interesting to know, because that's something I've always considered. So, you know, yeah, might have to give that a go.
Yeah, definitely try it. I mean, it's definitely worth trying.
So, Becky, when you're working, how would you say working as a crystal healer would then be different to working as a tarot card reader?
Well, I think for readings, you're actually doing a lot of healing work anyway.
Because we're working with the emotions, aren't we? We're working with people's emotions, deep-rooted trauma that may have been caused from their past, whether that is an emotional, physical, in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they're actually more similar than they're different in lots of ways. I think it's just that the clients will come to you for a different reason, and often when people come to you for treatments like crystal healing, Reiki, any of those kind of physical treatments, for physical ailments, underneath it there's generally an energetic reason for why that's manifesting in a physical way. So I think, it depends on what their needs are in terms of what they're coming to you for. But I think essentially they're both healing treatments.
Exactly, and more we're seeing, and people becoming more and more aware and being open to talk about mental health issues as well.
Yes.
And this, you know, as a consultant, as a healer, you know, we fall into those realms. Do you find it yourself helping people along those lines?
Yeah, actually, my husband's a former military man, so within our kind of community and our network, I actually have got quite a lot of veterans and people that come to me to treat a lot of mental health issues, or even physical issues that are caused from traumas that they've experienced during their career or during their life. So yeah, I think any form of energy healing, any form of tarot reading actually allows people a different perspective sometimes on their problems and on themselves. And so yeah, I think they're really beneficial for people's mental health. And I think it gives them a space where they can be open to discuss whether it's a physical condition because they've come for a treatment, or whether it's an emotional condition and they're worried about something that they want guidance from the cards. It gives them that space and that sort of sacred sanctuary that they can just kind of talk to you one-on-one, and they know it's in confidence, you know.
So the viewers that are watching, you know, that may not have a true understanding of tarot cards and crystal healing are starting to get now a concept that, you know, it's not just a bit of fun, it's not just a bit of entertainment where we're just having a girly night in and we're having somebody round and reading the cards and, you know, are we going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger? Well, maybe not.
Does exist?
But you know, we're starting to discover that there is much more to your work than that. There's a lot of depth, and I think this is what a lot of people don't understand, is the depth to the work.
Yeah, I agree. I think emotionally, you can go to somebody and have a reading, and actually it can really change the direction that your life is going in. So I think that there is quite an importance on that, especially if people are struggling with their mental health. I've quite a number of clients that have those kind of issues, and they'll come for a reading, and just to be able to look at the cards, gain some perspective, and more often than not you'll be like, well, things are going to improve. I can see that things are going to improve because I can see it on the cards for you, and that hope gives them
even that small bit of positivity.
Yeah, that positivity that they can take away from that just kind of changes their perception, changes their mindset, and that can have such a huge beneficial effect.
So, you know, we're talking about the cards, we're talking about the crystals. Where do all these things? Where do you get them all? You know, maybe there's you know, some of the viewers wondering, you know, if they wanted to get their first set of tarot cards, where would they go? Where do they get the crystals from?
Well, I think we live in an amazing world now. We can get everything online.
Well, I don't know about you, Becky. I don't know about you, Gilly, but I'm a little bit of a dinosaur. I still want to go.
You want to go to the shop?
I want to go and shop. It's nice to see it online, but I still want to shop.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. And to be fair, I grew up in Brighton, so there's the lanes and there's all sorts of like crazy hippie shops that you can go and kind of explore, which is amazing. And actually, for crystals, I very much feel that you do need to actually touch them when you're buying them. I think that's so important to be able to kind of be like, you know, you can see a bowl of rose quartz and be like, that's the one I need. So yeah, I think you really just need to get out to those hippie shops, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Becky's work, she does have a website, and you can find the details at the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much for our first guest, Becky, and now we're moving on to guest number 2, Carol Noonan. Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us on today's show.
Thanks.
So, you're a psychic medium, yes?
Yes.
And you specialise in Pleiadian.
I do.
Now, for those of us at home that haven't heard of this, can you tell us a bit more about it?
Well, I'm a channel for the Pleiadians.
Yeah.
I work as a psychic medium because that's how I started. I started from quite a young age with a lot of different spiritual experiences that were often brought about through trauma, which I was contracted in to do myself. But the Pleiadians, when people haven't heard of them, I like to simplify things.
Yes.
I like to keep it simple, and I normally describe them as very similar to archangels in that sense. So it doesn't make it so way out there. You know, they're very similar to archangels.
How do you use this experience to help others?
Within the readings, I tune in and I close my eyes and I give information that I get that normally will help people, especially if they're stuck in life.
Okay.
I get a lot of people who are stuck and don't know which direction to go. And because I'm a channel, I just basically close my eyes and get the information and give it to the person for the first half of the reading, and then I do the cards for the second half.
Okay.
So that would be how I do my best to help. That's how I help.
So such as our previous guest, Becky, you also use the tarot cards within your work, yes?
I don't use the
you mentioned
tarot.
cards. You mentioned cards, that was all.
I use the angel cards.
Angel cards, okay.
So going back to what you said previously, you sort of came into this when you were younger, and usually in traumatic situations. So what are you saying, like what would happen to you? Like if you go through something traumatic, and then are you saying that they come to you and bring some sort of healing?
Absolutely. I had an out-of-body experience when I was 12.
Oh wow, okay.
That was brought about because I was deciding to leave. I was deciding on committing suicide.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful for that time because it opened me up. I had an out-of-body experience, and I went up to the corner of the right-hand ceiling. And I believe it or not, I actually met up with Jesus. Jesus came to me. Very real, very solid. And I was literally on the verge of committing suicide. I was deciding to take tablets.
Yeah.
And so I was very traumatic. I was in a very, I wasn't in a good space. And then I had the experience for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I came back. I was in a completely different space, very blissful, very peaceful.
So are you saying you were in this out-of-body experience for 3 to 4 hours?
Yeah, yeah.
Is this like while you're asleep?
It was, yes, it was like being asleep.
Right,
but
okay.
it was real.
Okay, and then what other experiences have you had?
My granddad died when I was 9, and he came back to me a week or 2 later, and it was such a beautiful experience because I was quite strongly connected to him. You know, I had a very good relationship with him, and he came back to me as solid as anything, and he sat on my bed at the end of the bed with a walking stick, and he was so solid and real. I could have reached out, and I'm sure I would have touched skin.
So yeah, so when you say solid, you mean like you're looking at somebody like me?
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's say you're in a situation where there is somebody there, but it's not anyone from your family that have passed on. How would you know that I am not, you know, like a spirit, so to speak? Can you tell if you're saying that they're so solid?
Yes, of course. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, you would know. I mean, I guess there are extremes where some people may not know.
Yeah.
But normally you would know the difference between the physical and the non-physical.
Okay, so going back as well to when you said you saw Jesus in the corner of the room that time, what sort of figure did you see? In what sort of light did you see him? As we see him like on the cross, or...?
There was a huge sense of love coming from him. He looked very stereotypical to the images you see.
Yeah.
The beard was longer. It was kind of to the belly button, but very typical. He did have slightly darker skin, more Mediterranean type skin, but he came in with so much love and took me on a journey for 3 or 4 hours, and he showed me my personal journey, and then he showed me the bigger journey, you know, for humanity as a whole. But the interesting thing is I was at home and I wasn't on any medication. I wasn't in hospital having an operation or anything, because a lot of doctors would say that it's, you know, the out of body comes through the medication or anaesthetic or things like that. And I know it doesn't, because I wasn't on any of that.
So this is quite a deep, profound spiritual experience for you, Carol.
It was
that obviously
huge.
changed your life.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I had so many of spiritual experiences as a child. I think that was my most profound one. But I had so many, and Spirit always said to me, especially with the weird stuff, you know, like having the out of body with Jesus, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Because I used to when I was quite young, and then people would act as if it wasn't normal, and to me it was just normal. So then Spirit stepped in a bit more and said, don't say anything. You know, because if I'd spoken about experiences like that, they would have thrown away the key and locked me up.
Was that the only, was that the only out-of-body experience you've had to date?
That I can remember, yeah.
It's probably because that was a really significant time for you, wasn't it?
So everything changed, everything shifted.
So what point then, Carol, did you know that then you was going to serve Spirit and you was going to start to work with them in the way that you do?
I resisted for a long time.
Really?
A long time. I think in my early 20s, maybe 21, 23. But especially from the age of 16, 17, up until 2021, I really resisted it. I think I chose the path before I even got there. That's how I feel. I feel like certain things in our lives that we need to go down certain paths, and we don't really have a lot of control over that.
Sure. So if you was getting off the fence now and going a little bit more into your work, where do you believe that the true source of your divine inspiration is coming from?
The Pleiadians.
So if we was going to really now talk about them a little bit more and find out a little bit more about this divine energy, what do you understand about their existence?
That we're not alone in the universe. We've never been alone. I remember someone coming to me for a reading years ago in Ireland, and she actually asked me about the Pleiadians, and I just looked at her and thought, well, I don't know, because of my childhood.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff a lot of memories that I'd forgotten. So through shamanic courses, I've come to have memories of having connected to the Pleiadians as a child and regained lost memories. And when I channel, I kind of step into an altered state, and I just kind of, it's like taking dictation.
Okay, so when we talk about the Pleiadians, what sort of, do you see an image?
I work with them in the same way I work with spirit.
Okay.
So I normally see them behind me on my left.
And what do they look like? What are you looking at?
They're kind of the stereotypical images. They're tall, blonde, blue-eyed. Yeah.
Are we saying that they are divine angelic beings, or are we actually saying that they are something else more otherworldly?
I think they're both. Mm-hmm. I see them as being very angelic and divine, with a vast amount of knowledge and spiritual understanding. They always come through with a huge amount of love, but they are from the Pleiades. They're not earthbound.
So why don't they visit everybody? Because obviously, again, with Mental Health Week, there's a lot of people going through bad times, you know, and considering what you did as well, you know, to take their own lives.
Yeah.
And some of them do take their lives, so why would they come to some people and not others?
I think they go to a lot more people than is recognised, because I think they connect to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people dismiss them.
Oh, okay.
I think a lot of people dismiss angelic experiences as well, and also connecting with loved ones and spirit. I think we've been so conditioned to believe that this is real, when actually the very opposite is true. So people dismiss their own experiences and then question themselves, and then they start to, ask their family or friends or about the spiritual experiences that they've had, and then those people often say, well, that can't be true because this is what we're taught.
So very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
We could talk about this for hours. So, but thank you, Carol. Thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you very much, Carol. And now on to our next guest, author Lyn Thurman. Hello and welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, what have we got over here? This is your book, your recent book that you've written, isn't it?
I didn't actually write it, I
Okay.
published it. It's an anthology called Monday Morning Soul Missives.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit more about this?
Absolutely. It's actually a book to the reader. So there are 25 different authors in the book, and they all start off with Dear Reader, and it's a story about, well, actually most of them are actually true life stories, about how they have changed their lives, how they've gone from one point in their life which might have been very dark and very depressing, and they've changed their lives around. So the whole idea of the book is that you can pick it up, you can read it, it doesn't have to be on a Monday, it can be any day, and you can get inspiration. So if you're in a bad place, it can lift you up and think, well, you know, if other people can change their lives, I can as well.
Exactly.
So did you get your inspiration, Lyn, to come up with this?
Do you know, it just popped in my head one morning and I thought, oh yeah, that's a really good idea for a book.
Was it a Monday morning?
I can't remember. But because we'd started the Quiet Rebel Bureau, which is our business, and we really wanted to get other people involved in the writing, and it just popped in my idea, and I thought, yeah, we need to run with this because it's messages that people need to hear. People's stories need to be shared. And if you've ever been in a job or in a position where Monday morning is like full of dread, then you know you need to know that there's different ways you can get out of it.
Absolutely. I've just had a brief look at that before we started filming, and there's a couple of stories I can really relate to, so which is really good. So obviously the reader looking at that's going to be thinking, yeah, well, I'm thinking like that, you know, on a Monday morning, and just simple, small things you can do to bring back good things to you. You know, just a simple smile, a simple hello to somebody, just helping somebody out, anything like that comes back to you really, you know, great karmically.
Absolutely. I mean, just little things every single day, just bringing awareness into how you can change your life makes all the difference. But there are very different stories in the book as well. We've got some authors have written about really deep deep journeys from addiction. We've got heroin addiction, alcohol addiction, depression, even incest, and how that they've turned their lives around rather than having to be the victim of their own stories.
So how did you find these people then to put their stories in here? Is this something you advertised for? Or?
I advertised, and we contacted people that we already knew. Some people just found us.
Okay.
So it is a real cross-selection of people. So whoever was meant to be in the book is in the book.
Did you have lots of response? Was it hard to choose the right stories to go in there?
Actually, no. Not that we didn't have a great big response, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
I thought it would be nice to have 25 stories, and I got 25 stories. So they all just
fell into place?
They all, yeah.
Okay, so have you written any other books at all?
I have. I wrote the introduction to Monday Morning Submissives. I've written 2 books, so I have experience as being an author.
But that's not the only thing you do, is it? So you've got a finger in a lot of pies.
Absolutely.
So what else do you specialise in?
I have the Quiet Rebel Bureau, which is kind of like my business. So that's my day job, so to speak. I also write, as you know, just spoken about the different books. I do EFT. I'm involved in the spiritual.
Do you want to explain to the
Yeah, it's emotional freedom technique. It is a healing modality. It's a weird one because it's about actually tapping acupressure points on your body, mainly on your face, to release trauma, to release negative beliefs or things that we kept in our energy systems.
Can this be like anything little to something massive?
Absolutely, you can use it on absolutely anything. So if you're blocked, I mean, it's a great to use for if you've got writer's block as well, because it helps you get rid of what is holding you back. And it's very painless and quick, and anyone can do it.
Well, how long does one of these sessions take then?
It really depends on what you're working from, because some people will come to you because they've got a problem, maybe it's a physical problem. And the more you work and the more you understand with their energy that it perhaps isn't actually a physical problem, it's an emotional block. So sometimes it can be over in 5 minutes if you hit that right spot at the right time, not literally but figuratively. And other times it can take a while longer, maybe a couple of sessions, because you're peeling away layers of what's really going on underneath people's, reality.
Do you find you have a lot of people going for that treatment?
Not as many as I would like, because it is a little bit weird and it's becoming more and more popular. But still, because it's based on acupressure and you're tapping acupressure points, and it's an element of speech, not therapy, but you have to talk what's going on. And I think a lot of people are put off by that.
It's a bit like a counselling session.
No, not at all. You talk about what is blocking you. So for example, if you come because your foot's sore, you would talk about your sore foot. So you have to actually participate in your healing. And I think a lot of people want to be healed, but not necessarily want to do the work that goes with it.
Yeah, that goes with a lot of things, doesn't it?
Does.
So we're saying that, what we're saying here really is that even though we want to be healed, we don't really fully want to be healed. Because, come on, if you want to be fully healed, it means you can't go on Facebook and have a drama, can you?
It's true. It is true. I think some people just, they say they want to be healed, but there's benefits for them not to be healed, and they outweigh the actual healing that goes on. And it's not just EFT, it's with everything.
Coming back to the book, Lyn, we've mentioned that there was a number of contributors, and I know you've listed them on the back there. Anybody that sort of stood out for you that you would just like to sort of mention, where their stories kind of, maybe not talk us about the stories, but anybody particular that you want to sort of highlight who contributed towards the book?
Good gosh, everyone was amazing in their own particular way. So I can't really single anyone out. And also because just I might have found that their story is more inspirational to me. Someone else is going to pick up that book and find someone else. So I can't unfairly, I would like to say thank you to all of the authors because they made an amazing book.
And there's obviously, I'm just, again, just looking at all the names, and yes, I can see there's an enormous amount of contributors, and so, trying to sort of, there's a couple of people that do stand out for me that, I personally know or would recognise, here. So, I mean, you must be very proud of the achievement.
Oh, totally. I'm really proud of them. I mean, I did very little. I just put it together. So, yeah. And to see their journeys, because they've written about personal stuff, and it has opened up opportunities for them to go further, talk about things perhaps they wouldn't have had that opportunity or the confidence before they've actually sat down and actually wrote about it.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic to write.
Yeah.
Now, I read something on your website that you said that you discovered when you were in your 20s-ish about becoming a witch.
Yep.
So can you talk to me about that? I find that really interesting.
About that moment, or
just everything about it?
We could be here hours. Yeah, I mean, witchcraft is kind of a bit of a trendy topic right now. But back in the day when I was in my late 20s, it wasn't so much. It wasn't really spoken about. I was going through a divorce at the time, and I joined, because I didn't have enough things to do, being a single mum, I joined a book club. So they would send me a book every month and I could choose the book.
Yeah.
It was the old days before the internet, so, you know, these are
The good old
physical
days.
books. And I would select a book each month, but one month I forgot. So they sent me the book of the month, and it happened to be a book called Witchcrafting by Phyllis Curott. And I was like, oh God, I don't need this, it's nothing to do with me. But out of desperation of lack of reading material, I read it and I was reading it thinking, that is me. I can identify with everything in the book. I didn't necessarily agree with everything, but it was like finding my way home, that it's what I'd always been looking for. I just didn't know what it was.
So that book was actually meant to come to you by the sounds of it.
It changed my life completely. It changed my direction in my life.
So have you dabbled in any witchcraft, so to speak?
That's what being a witch is about.
So tell us something exciting about it.
Here's the misconception, isn't it, where I feel that because of, you know, television nowadays, that where people misunderstand witchcraft. You know, you said it there, witchcraft, and you know, you went straight into it, Gilly. That you know, so what can you tell us? Can you conjure up spells? You know, can you?
This is what I'm
turn
running. I'm
someone
really
into
excited.
into a toad, and you know, and something like that. But actually, when we really truly understand witchcraft and the true nature of it, it's actually nothing to do with that, really, is it?
Very little. You can take what you see from Harry Potter and then put that aside. Real witchcraft is more about finding a deep connection, and once you start investigating where it really lies, it is very old, and I think it's a name for something that we've forgotten. I think it really is like native Northern European shamanism, and what you're looking at then is not the fluffy witchcraft trend that you see. And you got very excited about witchcraft.
No, now I feel really
spells.
disappointed. There's no cauldron or anything, and no spells.
Oh, of course we have cauldrons and spells, but it isn't all Harry Potter and you know, instant magic. There is a lot of ethical considerations for things that you do. It's manipulating energy.
And there are a lot of
basically.
different kinds of witch. You know, would you say that you're more of a pagan witch?
My belief systems are pagan.
Okay.
So yes, I would, but witchcraft on its own does not necessarily have to be a pagan practice. It is a practice rather than a belief system.
Yeah.
Although when you trace it back to like its shamanistic roots, then there is an element of belief in there.
Yeah. And it's all about working with nature, isn't it? It's all about the earth connection, as opposed to more, you know, maybe if you're working as a spirit medium, you'd be working with the spiritual connection. Witchcraft is more about getting in touch with the elements of earth, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a huge part of it. It is very much more with your feet on the ground rather than your head in the clouds. Yeah. Although there is still an element of witchcraft relating to, you know, the dead and spirit work, where we look more as the ancestors being underground rather than the dead coming from above.
Yeah.
So that is actually a part of witchcraft as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously you're an author, you're you know, a therapist as well. Where does your heart really kind of go? Where does it really take you?
I really am pulled in two ways. Part of me, I really love the business arena because I think that that's very spiritual, and more spiritual stuff needs to come into business, the act of being in business and working from your heart rather than following your wallet. but I love the spiritual side of stuff. I don't think you can actually separate it too. And I'm really happy in my witchcraft realm.
But you do business mentoring as well, don't you? So moving on to that. So what kind of got you into that? What started that off?
My background is actually in IT and business.
Okay.
So in previous life, I was actually a web editor for a local government. And before that, I used to do IT training. So my background is in IT. And a lot of people need help with their, setting up their business, especially the technical side. And I like to work with mind, body, spirit, small businesses, because I think that they're underrepresented. And I'm not going to flinch when they start talking about all their woo-woo stuff, because I get it.
And did you do a talk? Did I see somewhere on Facebook you did a talk recently where you was coaching perhaps other business owners in regards to what you were just talking about?
Yeah, I've been doing workshops, social media and blogging. There's the whole theme of writing going on.
Now, there's something else that intrigued me when I was having a look at your website. Something about your favourite door.
Oh, everyone should have a favourite door.
So, do you mean just by looking at this door, or is there something deeper, meaningful behind this?
There is this door in Winchester along by the river, and it leads out onto the river. If you
amazing.
open that door, you will fall in the river. And I love it, because I think it's just so symbolic that if you open the door, you're going to land in the flow of life. So that is my favourite door. No, it's nothing apart from, I love that door.
Now, when I'm doing my meditation evenings, it's very symbolic. We always go on the journey through the door. I always get the participants to find their door and go through them. So interesting you mentioned that now.
So have you got a favourite door, Paul?
I don't have a favourite door, no.
Do you, Julie?
Usually the exit. I usually find myself in awkward situations and I can never find the door. So maybe I need help with that one. Okay, well, if you want to find out more information about Lyn, then please have a look at our website, which you'll find at the bottom of the screen. Well, that's the end of the show today, so thank you for watching. So please like and subscribe to our page, and please find us on all social media outlets as well. So until next time, that's it from us at Life Matters.